To set a context for understanding synchronicity, it's nice to go back to the etymology of the word, which goes back to the ancient Greek, which syn, S-Y-N, means same. And chronicity, of course, comes from Chronos, the great god, Chronos meaning time. So when you put the two together, you get same time, or simultaneity is another way of putting it. And a way of understanding this notion that really was largely evolved by the great Dr. Carl Jung, the psychologist and psychoanalyst, is to understand that synchronicity is actually happening all the time. It's just we have a greater or lesser ability to perceive the synchronistic nature of reality. It's not like it happens here and there as it may appear to us, but it's always happening. That's what the word actually means. And we've either tuned into it and identified it as such, or we haven't. When I was a young lad, I was raised in an atheistic Jewish cultural household. And my mother taught me that religion was the opiate of the masses, i.e. from Karl Marx. And I believed it hook, line, and sinker. After all, she was my mother. And yet, as I myself matured into my teenagehood, I found myself gravitating, magnetizing books, especially from the Far East, such as the Bhagavad Gita, such as the Upanishads, such as the Tao Te Ching of Lao Tzu, the great, beautiful poem. And in fact, I started with that. And by reading that, I actually felt my consciousness in my body shift. It changed. I was 16 years old, and I didn't have the phrase third eye, but it began to crack open. And from that moment on, I began to intuit, not just infer like a mental action, but feel what I would call the presence of God, of the divine. I couldn't use that word, it was verboten in my family. And I didn't want to because I wasn't raised with such a word. But later, I matured further and shifted my relationship to it, and I was able to use it for the good. At that time, after opening up purely by reading a poem, things started to happen in my life in a way that showed me that there was substance and reality to this new opening and sense I had. It was virtually a physical sense. That led me then to reading the ancient wisdom of India, specifically the Upanishads. And when I did that, it didn't just open, but my consciousness exploded. And it changed the course of my life. These two books, interesting. The Jews are considered the people of the book. But I didn't want to read that book. I wanted to read other books. And when I read other books, these explosions, inner explosions happened, and it changed the course of my life. I can't tell you what I think it was going to be because it didn't happen, so I don't have that as a frame of reference. But I can tell you that ever since 16 years old, I have been attuned to a higher cosmic, universal order of life and living. It's connected completely to nature and to the wisdom of all traditions. And I get, you could say, the heartbeat of them all, because I'm reading them not just with my mind, but with my heart.